Hello, my sugar bears. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are having a great week thus far. If I sound a little down, it's because I'm actually kind of tired. I really haven't gotten a lot of sleep. For some odd reason, like I woke up today and I don't know, I went to bed kind of late, but then I woke up at like 8 o'clock this morning. And yeah, Anywho, but I'm a little tired, but I wanted to come on and give you guys a story time. I think you guys like those a lot, so that means a lot. So make sure that you like this video, make sure that you comment, subscribe to the channel, become a sugar bear. Despite Mama Sugar Bear's tiredness, it really means a lot. Okay, so I wanted to tell y'all the time. Well, wait a minute before I go into that. If you would like a reading, a life coaching session with me, it is the end of the year or it's about to be the end of the year. If you want to look at what the next year has in store for you, you can log on to my website, which is psychicleo.com. That's psychicleo.com. And you can also follow me on various social media platforms. All the information is in the description box below. So now we got it out of the way. Child, let me tell you. Baby, I have stories for days. So I figured I would go ahead and do another story time for y'all. And forget my phone, child. My phone is, anyway, just making all kinds of noise. But anywho, so I wanted to tell y'all about the time that I had to ride in the back of a police car. Now, before y'all go into, oh my God, Leo, you got arrested? No, let me tell y'all the story. So, um, So one day I was on, I was. I was on a site. If you guys know this site, then you know what I'm talking about. So I was on a website called Adam for Adam. Back in the day, before you had Grinder and Scruff and Jacked, you had A for A, and then you also had BGC Live. BGC Live, Lord have mercy. And I think those sites are actually still around. But anyway, so well, I know A for A is still around because I've been on it, but mind your business. But anywho, so so I'm on A for A and I meet this guy, and he's like in my local area. This is when I was living in the St. Louis area at the time. And I forgot his name. Lord have mercy. I might have to look it up because believe it or not, I am this anal retentive. I have a list of every dude I've ever been with. But that's a whole other story too. So, anywho, so this guy, we meet at a local bar in town called Escapades. Now, Escapades, like every bar, every town has these kind of bars where like uh it's like the Cheers, you know what I mean? Like Boston had Cheers, like if you don't have a local bar, a local watering hole in town, you have like a local restaurant that everybody hangs out at, or even a local store. Excuse me. And where I lived in the St. Louis area, I lived in a town that was about 20 minutes outside of it. I didn't live in the, as I said before, I didn't live in St. Louis City. I lived in the Metro East area, which is more the Illinois side. Because St. Louis is comprised of three parts. I've said this before, but I'm saying it again. You have the city, the county, and then you have um, the Metro East. And I lived in the Metro East. So anyway, me and this dude were talking, and he's like, "Well, hey, why don't you come to Escapades?" Okay, so I go. I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I go to Escapades. Escapades is like a little. Mm, I'll say it like this. I think I was in my 20s when I did this. Yeah. So I'm in my 20s. I go and I meet this guy. And Escapades was the kind of bar where you would go and you would meet people that were older. And listen, ain't no shame in mine, honey. I've always loved my zaddies. Okay. Shout out to Poppy Zongo. Or Poppy Zongo. Shout out to Poppy Zongo, may he forever rest. Just saying. But anyway, so that's what started it off for me. Okay. And I think that's because for me, an older man represented stability because I never really had a lot of that growing up, but that's a whole nother Baby, that's a whole nother story time, child. My phone is just giving me fits. Anyway, don't mind it, child. Anyway, so I go to the local bar and I get my drinks and stuff. And the thing of it is, this bar, they knew me, like they knew my face. So they were like, oh, hey, come on in. So I go in and, and I get my drinks and stuff. And I meet him and I forgot his name. I can see his face. He was tall. He had blonde hair. He was a white guy. We're not saying that black folks don't have blonde hair anyway, but or that people of color don't have blonde hair, but he was tall. He was a white guy, and we were just talking and flirting and stuff. And he was like, "Oh my God, we should go back to my place." You know, and we making out at the bar, because I'm gonna be real, honey. I'm a little bit. Listen, Lee Ho, okay, comes out, honey. Lee Ho, yeah, comes out, child. Trust me. So anyway, so I'm like, okay, why not? So we go. We didn't go back to his place because this is how the whole police car thing came about. So we at the bar, we're talking, flirting, making out, doing our little thing. And he was like, well, why don't we get out of here? And and he had his car, and he was like, hey, why don't we get out of here and we go back to my place, to get a little, midnight loving going on, honey. So I was like, okay, I'm here for it, And he was like, but before I do that, before we go back to my place to get it in, let me go to the gas station. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. So we go to the local gas station, literally like that's right across the street from the little bar that we were at. So we go to the gas station, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go in. I'm like, well, while you're pumping the gas, I'll go inside because I was like, I'm hungry. I've been drinking, not a lot, but I was like, I'm been drinking a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and buy a few snacks. Child, I went in there, I bought some chips, I bought some ice cream, I bought, what all did I buy? I bought like all kinds of snacks. So, and I go and pay for everything, and mind you, this was in the winter, I believe. I think this was in the winter time, I think. So it's cold, and I have all these snacks and everything, and I go and what did and I also bought a slushie. If anybody like anyone that knows me knows, I love Slurpees. I love slushy, frozen, like shaved ice. Live for it. I honestly could live off of shaved ice. I really could. I don't know if that's a thing or I like iron or I don't know, but I love shaved ice. I love slushies. I love anything that's like an icy or any. Oh my god! Like even thinking about it, my mouth is watering. I'm like ooh. So anyway, so I get all my stuff, pay for it, and I go outside, right? And I'm looking for his car. I'm looking around, walking around, looking at different pumps with my stuff in my hand. Baby, it took me about maybe 2 to 5 minutes. And I realized this motherfucker left me at the gas station. Okay. Now, mind you, this was the days before Uber because I actually forgot how did I get. No, he came to pick me up. That's what it was. Now, this is the days before Uber. Okay, before Uber, before Lyft, before Hitch, any of those ride sharing apps. Right. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm stuck here. And mind you, we had left the bar, I think around the time it was about to close, which was like 1, 2 o'clock. So I'm like two or three, two, because it was two, because I think Escapades didn't close until like 2 o'clock. So so we're leaving and I'm looking around. I'm like, oh my God, he, he left me. And so I'm like, how in the world am I going to get home? This was the days before I had a cell phone. Any of that. So I'm like, how am I gonna get home? Lord have mercy. And at the time, I was living with my roommates at the time. So my roommates were good and sleep, child. Minding their own beautiful gay business. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't call them. I can't go back to the bar. The bar is closed. So here's what I do. I end up sitting in the gas station. It was a quick trip. I'll never forget it. I ended up sitting in the gas station. Baby, I sat in that gas station until I think, no, 5, 6 o'clock. Because we got there at 2. So like, yeah, until like 5, 6 o'clock. Because if anybody knows anything about gas stations, normally around 5, 6, that's when the coffee starts to be brewed, and people come in and get their morning coffee, their morning paper, things like that. So that's what people were doing. They literally were getting their morning coffee, morning paper, and all of that. And and I'm just talking to the cashier. I'm talking to the people who coming in trying to strike up conversation, like, yeah, hey, yeah, hi, good morning, and they're like, why are you in here? Like, why are you, and the woman, bless her heart, the woman was like, listen, I'm not gonna have you arrested for loitering. So you good. You can stay here. And I'm literally on bended knee. I think I was on bended knee at one point, and then I was also sitting on like a crate and just talking smack with people. And so eventually, local policeman walks in to get his coffee. And he's like, sir, what you doing here? And I'm like, well, my friend that I was gonna go back and have fun with, I didn't say that, but my friend left me, abandoned me. He was like, well, where do you live? And I was like, and at the time I lived down the street. I didn't live that far. So I'm like, literally around the corner. And he's like, you know what? I'll take you home. I think he felt sorry for me. I really do. He was just like, and he was I wouldn't say he was a fat man. He wasn't. He was a stocky gentleman. He was a stocky gentleman, had on the whole regalia, had on the belt, had the badge, had the whole 9 yards. And he was a nice guy. And I remember he wore glasses. And I was like, thank you so much. And I had on, because like I said, it was cold. I had on an Adidas. I'll never forget, I had on an Adidas jacket. I had on an Adidas jacket and some jeans and like a regular shirt. And so I'm like, yeah, I want to go home. And so he's like, I'll take you home. So he's like, get in the back of the car. Okay. Now, mind you, he didn't say it like that, but he was like, get in the car and I'll take you home. And luckily for me at that time, because the one thing about me that I'm really bad at, I have the work in my mind, I have the worst sense of direction. I've gotten better since relocating to Texas, but trust me, I am not listening. And this is the days before, this is when you had to print, and I'm telling my age, but this is the days when you printed your directions out via like a MapQuest. You know what I mean? So that's this is before GPS came along. And then GPS, and then if you did have GPS, it was kind of like brand new. So I go and I get in the car, and he was like, yeah, get in the car. So I get in the back of the police car. And I'm like, this is a really, and I'm talking to the officer, and I'm like, this is a really tight fit. No wonder people like try to break a window and stuff. I mean, this is kind of claustrophobic to get back here. So I'm back here, I'm talking, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually riding in a police car, but I haven't done anything wrong. And so I'm talking to the guy, making small talk and everything. And he was like, now where do you live? And so I gave him directions, and he pulls up to my townhome. I get out, and thankfully I had my house key because child, I was one of those people where sometimes I would take my house key and sometimes I wouldn't. So I go and I'm like, okay, let me, put in my key and everything. And I was like, thank you so much for. And it was funny because I think one of my roommates had woken up, and he was like, I get in the door, and he's like, what happened to you? And I'm like, it's a long story. I'll tell you later on today. And I told my roommates, and they died laughing. They were like, that's what your ass get, trying to be hot in the coochie, and you got left and had to had to beg a man to drive you home in the back of a police car. That's what you get. And I mean, I hate to say it, but they were right. So that is my story time, ladies and gentlemen. The time I almost rode, well, no, not almost, the time I rode in the back of a police car. If you've enjoyed that story time, please let me know. Comment below. It means a lot. And if you want more story times, trust me, I've got plenty of things to talk about, yeah. Um, so let me know below. Let me know in the comments. I thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys soon. Have a great week. Talk to you later.